All right, tonight we got Mason Bortz from BIT, and it's a very special episode because we have somebody from OpenEye. We have David, and I'm actually going to kick it straight over to Mason. Mason's going to be leading most of this up. We also have some other folks from the ambassador team on as well. So without further ado, Mason, welcome back again. It's so good to
Yep.
have
Yeah, one right after the other.
you. Yes, sir. Yeah, so man, hit it.
So, like we said in the last podcast, we use OpenEye as our primary VMS for small to large business. And after the podcast, I talked with Blake about basically showing OpenEye to the rest of you guys. So we have David on, and he's gonna kind of go through the main features of OpenEye and show you guys as integrators why it's useful. And so I'm going to kick it over to Dave.
Hello, Mason. Thank you very much, and thank you, Low Voltage Nation, for the opportunity to participate in this. We at OpenEye really do appreciate this opportunity to get in front of you guys. Basically, what I'm going to be showing off today is our solution. It's a cloud-managed video platform. And what sets us apart from other traditional VMS is that we use still a local recording device, but that recording device is very basic. It brings in your camera feeds, it records video, it takes and does all of the powerful functions that you need to have happen on site, while we also use the cloud to take care of all of the management functionality. So what I always liken our solution to is kind of similar to an iPhone. The iPhone by itself is great. It takes good pictures. It plays music, but you really don't get the power that you would expect from a modern-day device without having it connected up to the cloud. So we're taking kind of a common sense approach. We have that local recorder as well as the cloud, and the cloud is taking care of these things that I'm showing here on the screen right now.
So, Dave, real quick, this is Blake. I want to make sure that you're presenting. I think I'm presenting right now, so I think you might need to take back control if you could.
All right, resume presenting. Okay. So what I'm showing here now on our website is kind of the cloud functionality pieces that OpenEye has. So what we do is we manage all of the users up in the cloud. So when you're authenticating to a recorder, you're actually authenticating to the cloud first, and then that cloud piece, OWS, OpenEye Web Services, is what makes the connection for you down to the recorder. So we're authenticating to the cloud, and all of our users are managed up there in one single location for all of your customers. We also monitor the health of the local recorders. We have quite a few health alerting features that I'll go through showing you. On the integrator side, if you were to be selling services to your customer that you're going to be maintaining and taking care of their system, you're going to want to know when there's an issue. So we use OpenEye Web Services to alert you in case of an issue. We also use the cloud to store and share videos online. We do not write live video up to the cloud continuously. More than 99% of video that's recorded on a surveillance system isn't even used. So we don't want to take and use up a customer's bandwidth if we don't need to. But we do need to sometimes export important video up to the cloud so that it's maintained in a single, easy-to-find repository. All the changes we make up in the cloud are instantly applied down to the recorders, and the roaming user profiles and settings, as well as single sign-on, these two kind of go together in that there is no client-side programming. So when you're logging into OpenEye Web Services or interacting with your recorder over the web interface or our Command Station THIC client, as well as OpenEye Mobile, you're only logging in with your email address and password, at which point you're authenticating to OWS. OWS realizes what rights and what recorders you should have access to, and all of those recorders, along with the permissions that you should have, are then passed down to that client. So there is no client-side programming. You don't have to spend time on your customers' computers or working with your customers' phones to take and program in servers.
And one of the things I just wanted to bring up here too is we've integrated Okta with a few of our clients, and that's been really useful. If you have a large repository of clients, or not clients, users that you're trying to integrate into a maybe like a multi-site deployment, having that Okta ability really cleans it all up. So you're not having to create a bunch of users. You can just pipe all the Okta information in, and then all your users are taken care of.
Thank you much for adding that, Mason. Yeah, that Okta integration has actually turned out to be something that's really turned out to be popular. So we're happy about that. All right. So just to take and kind of continue on down the website here, we can look to see that we're virtually eliminating port forwarding. So on the integrator side, we've always worked with operations in most instances. We get a camera system installed, and then we've got to go and tell an IT director that he's got to forward ports into his network, which he's been charged with keeping safe. It's usually a pretty difficult conversation to start out a relationship on when we're telling somebody to make their network less secure. So what we do is we incorporate a functionality with our recorders where when you take and install a recorder, you plug it into the internet, into a network switch. You don't even have to program a static IP address into that recorder. All right, you're going to take and pull a DHCP IP address, and you're going to take and plug a recorder registration code into the setup of that machine. It's a 3-minute setup. And then that recorder will reach out to the internet up to OWS and populate itself into OWS where your remote connections then can easily be made. And I'll demonstrate that here shortly. We have software updates that we automate through OWS, so you don't even actually have to be connected into your recorder looking at video. You can initiate the software update directly from your user or from your OWS portal. Very simple to do updates. In order to maintain that remote connection, you're not having to create VPN connections into the network. So again, we're eliminating our reliance with the IT people on site. Then we also have some integrated support tools so that you don't have to roll a truck every time something goes wrong. You can take and ping cameras. You can power cycle PoE ports as well as reboot the recorder all remotely. And then if you need to roll a truck, obviously there are some times where that has to happen. You'll at least know what you have to bring with you so that you're not making multiple trips if you don't need to. All right, so basically what we're doing when we're looking for our health monitoring is hard drive failures, system reports, how is your system working, are all your cameras connected and looking at what they should be. We can let you know that if you sold a system with 30 days worth of retention and you drop below that threshold, we can also send you an alert so that you can remedy the situation right off the bat. So our health functionality is something that we're very proud of, and we want our integrators and their end users to know that the system's going to be working when they need it. Okay, so I can take and switch over right now to our OWS portal, and this is basically it right here. Very, very simple interface to log in. What we do is we go to ows.openeye.net, and we'll be greeted with this login screen here. We can take and enter in our email address and click Next. Now, one of the things that I like to point out with our OWS is that you don't have to take, if your customer forgets their password or hasn't used their system in a year or years and they've forgotten their password, they can reset it themselves right here from this link without having to bother you to roll a truck or anything like that. So very simple to reset your password. But since I do know my password, I'm going to go ahead and log in. And what I'm going to be looking at right now, as signified by the orange banner up here at the top, is this is our partner portal. And what this is for all of our integrators to use for managing all of their managing all of your customer accounts. So what we have here is a list of all of your accounts. So if you have, let's use, for instance, McDonald's. If you have 100 McDonald's locations, what you're going to end up doing is clicking Add New Account, and you're going to enter the account name. If you have an account ID, you can enter that, as well as the address information, time zone, and you can even add the first user of the system there if you like. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. And once you add that one customer, all of their recorders are then going to go underneath that customer, and the recorders populate themselves as they're added to OWS. And what that looks like is this registration code here is entered into the recorder on site, and once you enter that in and you choose or give the recorder a name, it's going to tunnel out and populate itself here into this list. Okay, so within just a couple of minutes of powering up the recorder, you can have your remote setup all set, all complete and finished, and you can even connect up with your laptop and go focus your cameras or work on the setup without having to be at the recorder. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to the channel partner portal again, and I'm kind of just going to work my way across the top here, because this is where a lot of the administration that comes in handy to the integrator is contained. All right, here we have our alerts. All right, what we can do is we can set up an alert that basically spans all of your customers. All right, so all I have to do is click on Add New Rule. I'm going to highlight Health Alerts, and I'm going to click Next. I'm going to give this a title of Delete Health. And I'm going to click Create. And at this point, the rule is made. Now, what I have to do is give it its parameters so that the rule actually accomplishes something for us. Now, we have abnormal restart here, so if our recorder has 2 restarts that, that were similar to like a power outage, that type of thing, or a brownout, we can take and define that after 2 or at 2 abnormal restarts, we get an alert. Also, if your recorder isn't reporting to OWS for 30 minutes, and if there's a connection loss to a camera for 10 minutes, we're going to want to know. All right. If there's no recorded video on a camera for 3 days, we can trigger an alert that way. And of course, hard drive error, you're always going to want to know about that. We could take and choose active alert. And if you have a privately owned central station or a central station that's using Bold Manitou, Matt's Video, or SureView, we can also send this alert to a central station software. So let's go ahead and save this rule. And I'm going to continue working my way on down the line here on the left-hand side. I'm going to choose my Recorders tab, and I'm going to go to Add Recorder. Now, I can either add a couple of recorders to this rule, but I want this one rule to automatically encompass every recorder that I ever add to my system. Any account that I add, I want every recorder to be part of this one rule. All right, we have that turned on, and now I'm going to choose Users and Notifications. I can go ahead and add a group, and I can add my administrators to be able to view this alert. But I can take and also go in and I can add a user, and I can choose to send them an email in the event this alert is triggered. Or I can also send a push notification to him as well. That way it can come over the OpenEye mobile app, and you go directly to the spot where the incident or the issue happened. All right, so that's basically all that goes into creating one single health rule that spans all of your recorders. Now, if any of your recorders go down, disconnect from the internet, or you lose a camera, hard drive failure, you're going to be able to get an alert and be able to jump on it right away for your customer. So very easy to add alerts and just make sure that you're on top of things. We can also go over here to reports. And again, all of these alerts and reports, because we're at the orange banner, signifies that they're for your company. All right, so what we can do just to kind of have a look at a couple of reports that are already created is we can go to our sample inventory report here. Now what this is going to do is show me every single one of my customers' recorders out there. It's going to show software versions, models, as well as even serial numbers, so you don't have to take and pull a recorder out of a rack, that type of thing. We've got MAC addresses here if you're going to be MAC filtering, and you can see channel counts, as well as when the recorder was joined to OpenEye Web Services. So the recorder inventory report is something that really gives you a good high-level overview of all of your hardware, your recording hardware out there. We've also added our camera tab where you can quickly go in and look to see that you have, you can have a look to see all of your settings inside of your camera. So if you wanted to sort by event frames per second, we can look to see here that we have quite a few systems that are set up at 30 frames per second. Now, if as a company, my standard is to set up all of my recorders recording at 10 or 15 frames per second, we can go in here and look to see that we've got quite a few that haven't been set up correctly. So now we know that we can go into that recorder and go into that camera and correct the settings. Okay, so it's very easy to keep an eye on the hardware that you have out there. And this isn't only for OpenEye cameras as well. This is also for third-party cameras. As long as they're on VIF Profile S, we will work with them. All right, so those are, that's just a demo of your reports there, but we can also come over here and see that we've got this gear where our users and user groups are. Now, before hitting on users, I'm going to take and go to user groups, and we can have a quick peek at all of the types of user groups that we have here, but I might want to create a new one, and we're going to call this technician. And I'm going to create this. All right. Now, again, just like when I created the alert rule, we have the group made, but it can't really do much right now until we tell it what it should do. So again, I'm going to work my way down the left-hand side, and I'm going to start channel partner permissions. Now, I may want my technicians to manage accounts and manage unassigned recorders, but I certainly don't want them removing me being the administrator from the system. So we're going to keep our techs from going in and changing the users at the channel partner side. Your main OWS administrator is going to want to be able to create and edit the reports, but he's probably not going to want his technicians to create and edit reports. So we'll let him view them. Same thing with alerts as well. So we'll go ahead and save this. All right, we're going to work our way down. Now, two-step verification is something that we're very proud of here at OpenEye, and knowing that you're not going to have to deal with any kind of password sharing and that type of thing. And this is also something that's very huge in the banking sector, is that when you go to log into OWS as a technician, you're going to be forced to enter in your mobile phone number just one time, and then you're going to be able to have a text message sent to you to enter in once you go to log into OWS. So it's a little bit of that extra piece of security that a lot of your end users may require. Keep working my way down, and I'm going to go to account access, and I'm going to add the account. Now I can add a couple of accounts as I go for this user, or again, similar to the alert rule, I can just include all accounts that are ever added to my system. Keep moving down. Web services, I might want them to be able to edit video clips or share video clips, but I'm not going to want that technician to delete or view or share with users without accounts. Okay. We're going to want them to have access to the recorders so that they can service them, and we're going to want them to be able to create recorder groups and manage your end users' recorders as well. All right, we may want them managing your end users' users and user groups so that they can provide them that support. And here's where you may want to allow them the ability to administer alerts on the end user side. So we'll go ahead and save that. We also have our remote client permissions. Now, this is actually a new couple of features that we have, which we really like, and that we're able to limit access to a recorder by the type of interaction that they're requesting. So if we don't want somebody connecting into a recorder from our command station thick client, we can remove their ability. All right, we can allow them to, and we can allow them to view shared camera layouts as well as manage shared camera layouts. Similar to how I'm interacting with the system right now, if we don't want them communicating with the web browser, we can eliminate that ability and only allow them access to log in locally at the recorder console itself. And if you want to remove mobile applications, you can do that too. So again, it's very granular how a person can connect up. This is probably one of my favorite functions that we just released a little while back, and we can restrict access by external IP address. Now, when you do a restriction, you can define your company's public IP address or range of IP addresses right here so that any technicians that you have working on the system will only be allowed access to OWS if they are coming from that IP address, so if they're originating from that IP address of your office. That way you don't have them logging in at home and that type of thing. So this is actually one of my favorite pieces, so I'm really proud to show that off. We'll go ahead and save our changes and go down to recorder permission. And here we're probably going to want to just give them access to everything, because they're going to need, if they're on site and they're in the recorder setup, we need to allow our technicians to do their job. So we're going to open up all of the actual setup inside the recorders to them. We'll go ahead and save that. All right, so we've just created a user group for our technicians. I'm going to show you how easy it is to add users. Come up here, we go to users. And here's our list of users. I'm going to hit add user, first name, last name, email address, and I'm going to add to the group of delete technicians. Click add new user, and that user is going to receive an emailed invitation from OWS that's going to prompt them to add a password for their account, check a couple of boxes, and then they're going to be allowed in. So adding users is very, very simple through OWS. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and back up here. And I'm going to come over to back to my account settings. All right, so we're right back here to my list of accounts. Now, being an integrator, you're going to want to have control over who has access to your system. So if you have a customer that's rather sensitive, privacy is a huge concern, that type of thing, you can always go in here for one of your customers and come over to report and alert option. Or I'm sorry, where's that? Go up here into settings. Sorry. All right, so you can always come in here and you can disallow OpenEye's ability to support your channel partner, or to support your channel partner account. So by default, we leave this open to be able to support you guys. We want to make sure that if you ever run into any trouble, that you have that support from us. You can uncheck this, and we won't have access to any of your end users. And then if you do have an issue where you need our support, you can just come right back in here and check that. So we try to make it as secure as possible, or as secure as you want it to be. All right, so that's pretty much our channel partner portal. We try to keep it very simple, very easy to work with. So you're able to do your job and get in and get out. So I'll go ahead, and for right now, I'm going to choose one of my accounts. So again, this is going to be my customer, and then my customer has all of these recorders that are populated underneath their account. So this is kind of their list. Now we can create recorder groups so that they're kind of in their own folders. You can take and come up here to recorder management and then recorders, and then if there is a version update available, it's going to show up right here. And I'm sorry I don't have one to show you right now because we're all up to date. But this is where you would go to update your recorders. Now, keep in mind, I'm in OWS right now. Up until this point, I have not gone into one of my recorders yet. But if there was a version available here, there's going to show the version along with an orange install button. And then I can click install, install, install on down the line, and install the updates on multiple recorders in just a matter of minutes without having to roll a truck, log into a recorder, or anything like that. So we try to make it very easy to maintain your recorders. Now you can also come in here and edit the recorders. So if you have different sites that your recorders are at, we can take and enter in their addresses so that you have those for reporting features. You also have your cameras here. Now there are cameras that are disabled and out of service because this is a demo and we're constantly making changes. So you can go in here and remove cameras that are out of service if they've been removed. But we also want to make sure that you have a good camera list running of what you have without having to get into the recorder. So that's basically where that's at. Now one of the coolest things is our connection management. We're actually using OWS to manage the connection to your recorders. Okay, now basically what we have here is we have a situation where you have, let's say, a security desk that needs to keep an eye in on one of their recorders. So they need to have port forwarded into their recorder, let's say. Now, we don't require that a port's forwarded in, but it's still a valuable way of doing things when you need to get that little bit extra added performance and you don't want to use OWS to relay video. So we can actually create a direct connection into the recorder all from OWS here. So you take and open up the port into your router if you wanted to. We can put the public IP address or DNS here along with the port, and we can have OWS know to make a direct connection into that recorder. Now, again, you don't need to make a direct connection into the recorder in most cases because we don't require inbound ports to be open, and I'll show you that here shortly. We also have what's called LAN Smart Forwarding. All right, now LAN Smart Forwarding is really cool in that your recorder, again, is reaching out to OWS and maintaining that connection up to OWS. Okay, so OWS knows where that recorder is originating from. It sees that IP address, that public IP address, it knows where it's originating from. Now, if you have a client, whether it be mobile or thick client or web, you're going to authenticate up to OWS, which already has that recorder connected up to it. And OWS is going to be able to tell what IP address your client is originating from as well. If the recorder and the client are originating from the same IP address, the same public IP address, or IP addresses as defined in this port as being on that local network, the recorder is then going to pass through the internal IP address up through OWS down to that client, and then the client is going to then be able to connect directly to that recorder without having to introduce the internet as a choke point. Pretty intelligent stuff going on right there. Okay. We also have peer-to-peer connections that are going to attempt to be made if any of those fail. And then if all the other forms of connection to the recorder from a client to a recorder fail, then what OWS is going to do is start relaying video from that recorder through the cloud and down to the client. Now remember, at no point in here with our LAN Smart Forwarding, peer-to-peer or relay, did we ever have to create any kind of inbound connection to the recorder. It's not required. All right. So that's our recorder management there. Now alerts, we can also send alerts to our end users. So along with us being the integrators, along with us keeping track of our systems and the health of our systems that are out there, we can also allow that same alerting functionality to our end users. But we can also do it on a much bigger scale here. Not going to get into each of these, but I'll talk a little bit about them and just hit on each one because there are quite a few. Health alerts we already touched on at the channel partner level. The only difference here at this blue banner is that this is going to be health alerts that are going to be tailored to your end users. So you won't have any of your technicians in most cases in here. So all of these alerts that you're going to create are going to be for your end users. So health alerts is one. Storage retention alerts, again, if you have a system that you've promised 30 days on and you ever fall below that, you're going to want to know right away. We can also set the system up to send you motion alerts. So if you have an IT room where somebody's not supposed to be in over Saturday and Sunday, let's say, and somebody does go into those rooms, you can get an alert. Same with sensor alerts. Those use the inputs on the cameras or on the back of your recorder. So if a door opens and there's a door contact on it, you can receive an alert. Analytics alerts are great for things like cross-line detection, loitering, object appearing, object disappearing, that kind of thing. Any kind of analytic that you're going to have, and our main partner right now with analytics is Hanwha. Any kind of analytic that a Hanwha X-Series camera is going to be able to generate, we're going to be able to bring on in. We're going to generate an alert off of it for you, okay? We also have analytics queue alerts. This is really great for retail in that if you have a customer that has a line at a cash register, if you get beyond a certain amount of people, you can have one alert to go to, let's say, a store manager to have them get another register open. And that would just be the first line of defense. If you get an even higher group of people or higher number of group of people that are at that register, then you can have an alert go to the district manager that lets them know what's happening. So you have different levels of alerting that you can use for being triggered from the Hanwha cameras. All right, we have access alerts, so we do have integrations with access control, mostly DMP, Phoenix we have right now, and our ecosystem's continuously expanding. So we have access alerts that can tell you if you have somebody that reads at a card reader that has an invalid read or they have access denied for whatever reason. We can generate an alert off of that. We also have intrusion alerts, and these are specific to DMP panels currently, in that if you have an alarm area armed or disarmed, you can get alerts, as well as if there's any actual burglar, fire alarm, supervisory alarm, panic, that type of thing. Those are all going to be there in intrusion alerts. We also have intrusion zone alerts. These are going to be things like door forced or door propped alerts, that type of thing. So any one of these can be created to trigger an alert. Now, what's also cool is that, again, we're at OWS. We're on OWS right now. So all of the recorders that are capable of triggering alerts are all going to be centralized in this one interface. So I can come over here to Alert History, and I can pull up history from all of my recorders from anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world, actually. All of those events that are being triggered on site are going to be stored here in OWS. Okay, so moving on, we can come over here to our reports section. And one of my favorite things to show off with reports is the Premium Health and Usage Dashboard. This gives you a lot of information where you can quickly look at it and just see, do I have a problem? Am I getting the amount of recording days that I should have? 18 days is kind of fishy when I have another one up here at almost, 300 days. What's the difference between these? What's going on with my system? So if I go ahead and I go check on the first one, I can see that this one is functioning or fully operational right now. There's no issues going on with it. I can have a quick peek and I can see the average recorded video time, and I can also tell that there's a dip that happened here. So there might be something with the environment that happened at this time that I might want to go back and check, maybe correct, that type of thing. So you can have a quick look to see how many days you've got recorded, how many channels you've got, as well as how the system is being interacted with, and a few other little things here. Now, usage information. This is really cool because you always want to know who has access to your system and how they're using it, when they're using it, that type of thing. So if I see a spike here or an abnormal spike in usage, I can go to that spike and click on it. And that's going to drill me down in to the users that have entered into this system over the past given amount of time. So I can see here that Brad Moore has entered into the system 15 times. He's looked at this recorder 15 times where everybody else is much less. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on Brad and see what he's doing. All right, I can see that he connected into the system. I can see what client he logged in with, to what recorder, as well as what time. So we have that paper trail and we know what's going on with our systems. Just to keep going, we can see some other useful metrics here. But we also have our thumbnail report here. Now, this is another piece that is really helpful in making sure that you as the integrator have the system tuned as it should be for a customer. Now, when your system is installed, it's all set up, and everything is as it should be, you're going to want to capture a reference image here. Okay, so this reference image that we have at nighttime, 11:55 at night, and at noon is when these reference images were taken when everything was perfect with the system. These are the gold standard and what these cameras should look like. So we can tell here that it should look like this. There's a little bit of sky in the picture, but here there isn't. So I can look to see that today at noon, this picture was taken here and it doesn't look similar to that. So I can look to see maybe the camera was bumped, maybe it needs to be adjusted, maybe it's no big deal. So we can tell that right away. We also have this that was taken last night at 11:55 p.m. Now, what's really cool about this is that at nighttime you have your IR kicked on. It's much, much easier to see rain spots on a dome bubble. If there's a cobweb in front of it, things that you're not going to see during the day because the infrared is off are going to be very much visible at night, and you're going to be able to quickly go in and look to see that. Maybe you need to make a stop by your customer's location and clean a camera, that type of thing. But again, here you can just take and do a quick rundown and make sure everything looks good. And if there's something that needs to be remedied, you can get right on it. I'm going to go ahead and skip over video for right now. I'm going to come over here to my settings tab. Now, again, similar to how we want you as the channel partner to be as secure as you need to be, we also allow a very similar functionality here for your end users, and that your end users can go in and disallow your company from servicing their system. Okay, now that you're still going to have management in the background, that type of thing, so you're going to know it's there. You're going to know that the recorders are there. You're just not going to be able to get in and, manage those recorders for the end user. Again, if there's a problem and they need your support, you can talk them through coming right back here and rechecking that box. It's very simple, but we want them to know that they're secure as well. So you can come down here to user groups, and this is going to be for the most part identical. Adding a user group is for the most part identical to being on the channel partner side. So we can go here into, let's say, bank managers, and we can look here on the left-hand side. It looks almost the same. There are a few differences with the permissions levels, but again, it's every bit as simple as setting up a user group at the channel partner level. And setting up users at the channel partner level, again, is identical to setting up users at the setting up end users is just as easy as at the channel partner side. All right, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to go to my Web Connect, and that's going to bring me right back to my list of recorders for my customer. Now I'm going to go ahead and I want to connect up to this one. I want to connect up to this one, so I'm going to open up all these links in new tabs here so that I'm connected to all of my recorders. I can jump on here and have a look at that one. I can go in here and I can pull up a multi-screen on this one if this is important to me. And the thing that you're going to see with this is that this camera right here is displaying at D1 resolution right now. If I double click on that one, it's going to bring me to full resolution for that camera. So we're automatically choosing the best stream to pull from the camera based on the view that we're looking at. So now we can take and go in and define that it's going to be a high resolution image or low resolution. So we can make it do what we want it to do, but by default, it just automatically chooses the best the best stream for the situation. All right, so we can have multiple recorders over at the same time. There's you can go full screen if you wanted to. There's it's a very basic, very easy to use interface. We want your customers to have a simple experience that when they need to go look at their system, they don't have to figure out how to. So we make live functionality very easy. Now, when we come over here into search, we also keep the search functionality very simple in that we have different ways of searching. One is by the timeline view. So what I can do is just pause my cursor over the timeline, and every time there is motion in the picture, this light blue is going to be there. Whenever there's not motion in the picture, this dark blue is going to be there. So now OpenEye records continuous plus motion by default. We feel that that it's just as important in most situations nowadays to prove that something didn't happen as it is that something did happen. So that's why we have motion and continuous here, and that's that way by default. All right, now I'm going to go back a little bit here into into my timeline. And just to kind of show you a little bit of the search functionality here. So again, we can mouse over these, but I may want to look to see when this car arrived here. So I'm going to use my thumbnail search to very quickly and easily break down 24 hours of video into a 9-camera screen here. So I can look to see that this car is right here, but it's not here. And I want to see the point where the car pulls up. So I'm going to click on the image before that car is there. And then that broke it down from 24 hours to 6 hours. I can see the car is not here, but it is here. So I'm going to click before it. That's going to bring it down to 90 minutes. The car is here, but not here. Now we're going to be brought down to 22 minutes. The car is here, but not here, and we're going to take it down to 5 minutes. Okay, we can see the car is here, but not here. I'm going to click one more time. We're going to bring it down to 1 minute, and the car is here, but not here. So I'm going to go ahead. Now it brought us back to the timeline view. All right, so basically what we did was just whittled down 24 hours worth of video to the point where this red car is going to be pulling up. All right, so we have the car pulling up right here. All right, so it's very easy to get to the point where you can find when a car arrived. You can do the same thing with a car leaving. So if you need to identify an object arriving or leaving very quickly, that thumbnail functionality really helps you in that arena. All right, now I'm going to take and drag this back just a hair. I'm going to click pause. Now that I've found the incident that I want to export this video. Okay, so I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click my export button and I'm going to come over here and do a single export. Now I can choose the duration of the export here. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose 0 seconds. I'm going to record 15 seconds just for demo purposes here. I can also go in and choose my start and stop times here, as well as control the video quality, choose mobile resolution if I wanted to scale down to 1080p, but I want to keep the original resolution of this. And if there's audio, we're going to include that. I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now, I can still save the video locally if I wanted to. I could put it on a flash drive. Pass it around like that, or I could email it or put it on a disk, that type of thing. But at that point, you would have to include a player with it. There would be more things that you had to do that would slow down the process of getting video to where it needs to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the magic of OpenEye Web Services, and we're going to export it to Web Services. I'm going to title this Red Car Arriving Delete. I'm going to go ahead and export this video. Now here very shortly we're going to see this upload manager telling us that there's an upload or an archive happening right now up to the cloud. I can come down here to my export manager and I can pause over this and just have a quick view or a quick GIF of what's happening. I can delete it or cancel it if I wanted to. So we can look to see the status as it's actually happening. Now, it's important to point out that this export is taking place right now between the recorder and OWS. So once this export is initiated, I can close down my computer and go do whatever I'm going to do, and I can know and be for sure that that export is going to still be happening in the background. Okay, so now that that export is complete, I'm going to come back here to OWS. Now is where I'm going to hit the video tab. So I'm going to go to video and then video clips, and we're going to see that we have a whole list of video exports that we've done here. All right, so we've got our red car arriving export that we did. We can take and mouse over these if we have a lot of incidents that are a lot of exports that we have here. We can take and mouse over those to get a quick view of what they are, and I can also just click on this event here and go into it and play it. Now this is going to be buffering just like YouTube here, so we're not going to have any skips or anything like that normally happen with video. So we'll go ahead and just play it back. We can take it full screen. We can escape out of there. We can also download this video if we wanted to. So, but we want to keep, for right now, what we want to do is we want to keep this up in OWS. I can change my title. If I have an insurance company that needs to have a case number referenced with this, or an authority that needs to have a case number referenced, I can put that here in public notes. And I can also put internal notes for my own HR, that type of thing. Now, one of the coolest things with OWS is that we can take and share this video that we've put up to the cloud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a new share. I can look up by users, so I can add specific users that I want to look for. So I can type in and I can sort by users that we have as part of the system, and I can choose them and share this with them if I wanted to. I can choose an entire group of people, so if I have an entire HR department that needs to be looking at this, I can select the HR group that I've created. What I'm going to do here just for demo purposes, I'm going to put in my own email address. Now I can set an expiration date for this, so if I want this video share to go away, let's say tomorrow, I can do that. I can allow myself to download the clip if I wanted to, but that's how things end up on YouTube. So we may not want to allow people to download the video clip. Let's keep it secure up in OWS. We can also add text to be included with this email. Please have a look. And I can go ahead and share that. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to receive an email, and I can look here to see that that video was shared to a guest user. At this time, it has an expiration date, and I can also see that there's no views or downloads yet. So I'm going to go right here, and I can see that there was, in my email, I can see that there is a clip that was shared to me. I'm going to click Watch Clip. I'm going to put in my first name.
David, while you're doing that, I just had one question.
Yeah.
This is Marco from EnterpriseCC. Do you have any type of auto-tracking feature where the system, let's say there's a particular car that's been tagged, maybe let's say they do some type of vandalism to the property. Is there anything that within the OpenEye architecture that can track that between cameras, or is it strictly just per camera video?
There isn't at this time.
Okay.
That is actually something that camera tracking that would be a wonderful addition to Apex and OWS. So that's something that, if you'd like, I can follow up at another time and
Sure.
see where that is on a roadmap.
It's definitely something, you know, I know with a Visualon, they do it very well, but it's also a different structure. You know, that's more on-site platform where you have the capacity and the usage of the server on site as opposed to a cloud-based system. So, I mean, that's a differentiator that I understand as well.
Absolutely, yes. And OpenEye, with being a cloud-managed system, we're focusing a lot more on operational efficiencies, being able to quickly and easily get to the systems, not having to, have that, full. I mean, we provide enterprise value, but we do it at the cloud level as opposed to having that done on site. So most of our intelligence is happening up in the cloud right now, where a lot of other systems have that done on site. So, but
Sure.
that is something that I would personally love to see in our product.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so basically now I'm back here to the end user side. And what I've really done over this past couple of minutes here is I've gone through most of the administration of the system. I've gone through looking at the recorders here and seeing how easy it is to view and use the actual system. What I'm going to do here real quick, just to show you one other thing that we think is really kind of neat, is that we incorporate a technology called Camera Link into our recorders. So I'm here in the setup of our recorder. Again, setup's very, very simple. We can click Add Cameras, and the system's going to go out and discover all the cameras that are out there. But we take this kind of one step further. Now, I'm located in West Bloomfield, Michigan right now. This recorder is in Liberty Lake, Washington. So these cameras are on the opposite side of the recorder right now. So again, I'm coming through OWS into this recorder with the cameras on a separate network. But I can use this hyperlink right here to actually link through the recorder from my browser to the camera. So I'm actually getting into the camera's interface, and that interface is being routed through the recorder. So now from here, I can go into my camera, I can upgrade firmware, I can change wide dynamic range settings, increase or decrease increase or decrease IR illumination. Anything that you can find inside of the camera menu, you're going to be able to get to through Camera Link. I can reboot the camera if I wanted to. Check the MAC address. Any kind of functionality that you can get through this. Now, this is available for any camera that OpenEye has a relationship with. So obviously, they're good for our cameras, as well as Hanwha, Axis, Bosch, I believe, is being added to this list here, as well as Aerocont Vision. So we do have quite a few different camera types that'll allow that kind of functionality.
David Marco again. Is that done through a secure VPN tunnel through the OpenEye appliance? Is that how that essentially that backdoor is done?
Yes, that stream is actually being forwarded from that recorder. So it's the recorder that is interacting with that camera to be able to bring that stream through to my browser.
Sure.
So
yeah,
and this is an encrypted secure connection, because everything from the recorder up to OWS is encrypted, as well as from OWS down to my web browser as well.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so with that, I can kind of bring this demo to a close. I've touched pretty quickly on most of our features that are going to help kind of bring together a solution that's simple, easy to deploy, and easy for your customer to use, while allowing them those efficiencies to be able to have everything centralized in one place and be able to manage their systems from one unified interface. So from there, I can hand it back on over to the people of Low Voltage Nation. Thank you for your time.
Hey, David, would you happen to have the ability to go through some
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
In the command station?
Absolutely.
Because there was some things in there that aren't really covered in the web browser, and I'd like to, if you could kind of touch on those differences there. Object search is a big one that we use all the time. And then
what happened, David? Did everybody fall asleep but you and I?
You were just being polite.
Thanks, John.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and close down my web interface. And what we're looking at right here is our OpenEye command station software. So again, it should look very simple in that we put in our username. We can enter our password here. And again, even from the command station software, we can initiate changing our own password.
Hey, Dave, I don't think you're sharing your screen. I can't see it on mine.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, good deal. So we're actually sharing just the window, not the entire screen. Very cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that. What that's going to do is start logging into command station. Yes.
This is Blake. Hey, you might want to share your entire screen, because it's going to want to see that application, and we're not seeing it right now. So do it. Share entire screen. Yeah.
All right, much better.
Yep, there we go. You're good.
Okay, so I'm going to log out and actually go back and log back into the system here. So again, this should be very simple to log into. So we'll take and enter in our email address. And again, we have
and
the
just to
forgot
clarify.
link.
And
Yeah.
just to clarify over this, so the command station is mainly, it's only available for Windows, not available for Mac or Linux. And this is generally speaking how anyone in like on their desktop would access the system. Web browser is if you're not running Windows or if you don't have command station installed.
Well, OpenEye, Apex, and OWS was written to be kind of a web-first system when the software was created and released. So probably about 70% of user interaction with OWS and Apex is done from the web browser. We have the command station software because that gives more of a traditional feel to the system. And it allows a little bit of extra functionality that we historically haven't been able to get out of a web browser. So it's been kind of more of a power user or an as-needed thing. All right. So when we go to log in, we're looking at something that here is we try to keep a little bit similar between the web interface as well as the command station client. So again, we have all of our customers here, and I can go into any one of my customers and see the recorders underneath them. So now I can go ahead and just drag in my recorder, and this is going to go up to OWS and pull the recorder down into my command station client. Now again, I didn't do any kind of client-side programming on here. All I did was log in with my email address and password. Because I did that, OWS knew exactly what it should pass down to my client when I logged in. So it's very, very simple to deploy this software here. All right, so I can go into any of my cameras. I can do a 360 lobby camera I can pull up. So let's go ahead and pull this one up. This is our 12 megapixel fisheye. Pulling 12 megapixels over an internet connection is going to be rather difficult. So let me go ahead and I'm going to choose the low stream. All right, so here's my picture. I can right click and I can go into 360 view mode. I can go interactive and control where this is pointing. Let me bump this back up to auto and see if I can get my higher resolution, and I can. So I can go through, and again, this is recording 360 all the time, so you can have the same functionality here in playback as well. I can also do a 2x2 panorama if I wanted to, or I can just go back to no dewarping at all. So I can make additional grids that I couldn't make in the web browser. So this allows that kind of extra functionality there. I can also go into live search, or I can go into search here, and I can look at, let's say I wanted to come over to this camera here, and I wanted to see when it was that somebody sat down in that chair or there was movement over here. I can go to object search. I can take and choose my times that I'm going to do this object search for. We've got the camera selected. I can go ahead and just draw a box around that chair and click search. And what this is going to do is search for pixel changes only in the area here that I've defined. So we'll give it a second to go through and find some activity.
We've actually used this multiple times for like an employee. We had one where there was a few employees, they were parking in blind spots and then leaving, and you can't really get that with a thumbnail search. And this is really useful in kind of tracking that down when that employee was leaving, and we're not having to scrub through a bunch of timeline footage. That's been really useful.
And object search is something that's also coming to the web browser. So a lot of this functionality with the fish ID warping and object search and that type of thing, all of this extra functionality is going to be coming to the web client here shortly, and we're really excited about it. All right, so we have some activity here. So we can go ahead and open the video in a new tab. We can open it in a current tab. What we can do is widen this video out a little bit here, and we can hit play. And what that's going to do is that's going to sequentially play through each of these events that we've found here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drag this closer to the end because it seems like there's quite a bit of time that person spends there. All right, and then once this gets to the end, it's going to jump to the next and the next. So you can search for things that happened in a certain area and only play those times that those pixels change. So it makes it really easy to take and find something that happened in a given area. Okay, so I actually grabbed that and moved it when I shouldn't have. All right. So, um, all right. So it seems like we got a little bit of a better connection over here to this site. So again, to create up a layout, you just bring over the cameras that you would like as part of this layout. You can go on in and have a look at it being brought in a little bit closer. We can take and double click on this to bring it back out to our multi-screen view. And if this is what we want to have, if this is what we want to have as our view, we can come right over here to layouts. And I can either add this as a layout that's just for me, or I can make it as a shared layout as well. So I can title this one Dave's Shared Layout. Okay. That way, whenever I go back into my recorders, I can take and pull up different cameras from different recorders here. I can always go back to my layouts and drag in exactly what I just created just to make life easy on myself. Okay. Now, the Command Station software also uses GPU decoding, so you're going to be able to use this for a multi-monitor setup as well and not have to worry about killing the processor. So we try to build quite a bit of traditional functionality into the Command Station software and try to keep it similar enough to the web interface that all of the interfaces kind of blend together. And you know, you can basically learn one and then know all of them. Okay.
Just to kind of jump in real quick here, Dave, one of the things that we've used Command Station for is you can manually set a window when it opens up. So you can manually set a default layout just by going in the user settings in Command Station and changing it from automatically saving to saving it manually. So you can see it says manually save the application window. If you have like a person that's viewing off 3 monitors that's maybe not very computer literate, you can have it and where that computer is only going to be used to view cameras. You know, you can basically put the application in your startup folder on Windows and then manually save the application window with everything opened up. And that way, if anything happens, just restart the computer or close OpenEye or close Command Station and open it back up. And then everything's going to pop up just like they know it's supposed to. That's been really useful because we have a couple of places where that's all the system is used for. And so if they have an issue, they simply reboot the system or the computer, the viewing station, or they close the software and open it back up, and that solves a problem. So that's been really, really helpful for us. And the nice thing is it works on multi-monitors. It's not just segmented to a single monitor.
Yes, yeah. So we can take and open up views in either new tabs or in new windows, and then we can also drag these off to additional monitors as well. So quite a bit of functionality built into to this that we're really proud of. So thank you, Mason.
Yeah, and the other thing on the layouts, the one way that we've used it is for different departments in like a production setting. If you have maybe like an R&D department, assembly and shipping, if they're needing to go back and view video clips, it's really easy for people such as like HR or plant manager to just go in there, open up a layout, go to search, and then start just scrubbing through video that they need to look at instead of having to set up a view every time. And that's been useful as well.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah, there are a lot of different things that I hear about every day that people do that kind of take the software to, you know, another level. You know, allows more functionality that, quite honestly, I don't know if we've even thought of. You know, obviously opening up windows into the same view is something that's very useful. So it's very nice that it's being used in these ways that kind of extend from a situation where you're sitting in front of the computer to just allowing the system to go and do its own job. You know, open up the cameras by itself and just do it and be done with it.
And now, Dave, I just want to kind of reiterate this. You can also access the recorder from Command Station. You don't have to go through OWS. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. You can access the recorder from Command Station, but in instance, it would be a local connection to it. So you would not have the functionality of not needing the what would you call it? The client-side programming. You would actually have to program your recorders into the command station software if you were to connect without using OWS. So we're not tying you to OWS necessarily, but OWS allows enough functionality that makes life so much easier that it's something that when you do a direct connection with command station over to the recorder, it's very unusual when that happens.
One thing that I wanted to make sure we touched on is, did we go through, is it event searching, so you can look at analytics on Hanwha cameras and any other cameras that you're pulling analytics from? I don't believe we've touched on that.
We did not, actually. We talked about alerts, but we didn't go through searching by the alerts. But we can certainly do that. And we have a couple of different ways of doing that as well. I can take and come over to my recorder here. I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and I'm going to come right back to my panel that has the DMP and analytics events on it. Now, I'm going to be by connecting up like this and pulling up the recorder and doing the event search, I'm basically looking in the recorder for those events. So I'll show you that now. So we can go to our event view here. I can come in here and I can choose analytics. And I can choose basically any analytic that we have on this recorder. I'm going to go ahead and choose yesterday for my start time and right now. I'm going to go ahead and apply this filter. And what that's going to do is that's going to dig through and pull up any kind of analytic event that was triggered by any one of my Hanwha cameras on this recorder here. Okay, so I can see we've got quite a few that have been triggered here. So I can go through and I can pause on these, and I can see the beginning of the event, the middle of the event, and the end of the event here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of these events here, and I'm going to click play. Now we can see that person, that we actually have a cross-line analytics set up right here. So we're able to bring that up. Now again, similar as searching with the object search, I can go ahead and click this here, and that's going to subsequently play through each of the analytics events as it's happening.
So are you looking to add more analytics than just Hanwha, or what? Do you have any analytics from other manufacturers that you're looking to bring on soon? Maybe 2020?
I'm very much hoping for 2020. The one thing that OpenEye is really trying to do is push that we are an ecosystem. We want to work with everybody out there. You know, if Axis has a good analytic, why not use our abilities to be able to bring that type of thing in? Now, I don't have the ability to get back into the systems to look to see if that's something that we are working on, but I do know that one of the biggest things that we're pushing is the fact that we are an ecosystem, and we want to work with other manufacturers that do that type of thing.
Gotcha.
Okay, so.
Alrighty. Well, was there anything else, Dave, that you wanted to discuss and show that I'm not remembering?
The only other thing that I really wanted to touch on is that with the OWS, I'm going to go back over here to my web interface and log in with my channel partner login again. The cool thing with the analytics, as well as the intrusion alerting, is that where I connected up via the command station software, I was looking at the events in the recorder. What I can also do here is, since I've got all of my recorders here under this one OWS page, I can come in here into my alert history and see all of the alerts across all of my recorders. So if I wanted to come in here and I wanted to search for analytic events that were line cross, I can go ahead and select that. I can select my dates and times and click apply. And what that's going to do is that's going to go through OWS and take and pull up each one of these events as it happened, but it's not going to be just for one recorder. It's going to be for all recorders underneath that account. Now again, we have this filter functionality here that we can take and go through and choose a specific recorder. We can choose any date and time, but we can also take and say, all right, anytime there was a line crossed event that was for a certain duration, if we had a sensitivity that was increased on it, we can go ahead and apply these filters to be able to sort down to a specific recorder. But what we want to do is bring everything from all of the recorders and aggregate it into one place where it's easy to just go to and find anything.
Dave, I believe John had some questions for you. John, do you want to speak up there, and what do you got for us?
Okay. Well, first of all, I wanted to ask if there was any transcoding going on of the video when you're watching it in the browser.
No, when you're watching it in a browser, no. What we're doing instead of now we did incorporate a transcoding feature, but that's not enabled by default. But what we're doing is we're taking the stream from the camera that makes the most sense for what we're looking at right then and there. But we're not dropping the resolution actively. We're just pulling a different stream with a lower resolution if that's something that we have set up that way. Okay. Now we do have bandwidth transcoding, where you're able to limit the bandwidth throughout the day or throughout specific times as well, and that's done within the recorder.
Okay, but specifically transcoding in the context of like taking a stream and turning it into individual stills that a browser refreshes, that kind of transcoding.
I'm sorry, continue.
No, I mean, I guess that's my understanding. I guess sometimes, like for example, if you bring up the the Exact Vision web app, it's not doing, and you bring up live video with it, it's not using our RTSP to the browser. There's a layer in between that is taking the browser and basically taking individual snapshots several times a second, and then the browser is loading those individual stills quickly. I wanted to know if that was part of the equation at all when you're running in the browser.
That is not the case. No, we're bringing this directly through. The web browser. So okay. Right now we are actually connected to the recorder, and this is the recorder's interface right here. There is no web service that we're putting on top of this that's connecting over to another thing. This is all coming from the recorder itself.
Okay, but the transport is RTSP to the browser.
It is.
Okay. Yes. And I guess the next question I had was, if IGDP was being used, and the context with that is, so the way Skype works, is like Skype or similar chat programs are such that almost everybody is behind a firewall. Okay, and
yes.
So, but Skype. Isn't your conversations don't go through Skype. What happens is that when you boot up Skype, the Skype client locally asks your router, asks your firewall, hey, hold on, sorry, a little bit of noise.
I'm sorry. I do apologize. I hope we can clip this out.
No problem.
The kids are not doing good.
No problem. When you're uh, when you open Skype, your Skype local Skype client asks your router for basically like a temporary external port that it can use, and we'll say, all right, well, for for the next half hour, Blake Ermos is at IP address XYZW, and port number 1234, and Skype is basically a directory service saying, okay, well, if I call Blake on Skype, all I have to do is actually open a connection to that IP address and that port, and I get Blake. So is that how we, like, if I want to bring up live video from my recorder behind a firewall, is that what OWS does? Because I'm going to bring up live video. I'm kind of getting, live video doesn't go through OWS, right? Maybe this a little bit too.
Live video can actually go through OWS. Right now, I'm connected over to that recorder, and that's indicated by the IP address up here. So with this connection, I am making a direct connection into the recorder. Now the difference is if I were to open up this recorder here, what this is doing is it's creating a custom web link to be able to get into that recorder. Now, again, this is being streamed through OWS at this point. Okay. Now, with regards to the being behind the firewall, you do have the OpenEye recorder is using a static destination port, so you're going to be communicating out via 80 and 443. 80 is used for pretty much just a heartbeat. 443 is used for everything else. Okay, and in doing so, you've got your 80 and 443 going outbound. You're still going to have a source port defined, and that's not so much something that's on the OWS side as it is just the TCP protocol.
No, I understand that, but is my connection though, to, I guess, is the connection like via, is OWS relaying the video, or am I connecting directly to the recorder?
In this instance right here, by default, if you don't have anything open inbound into your recorder, by default, it is going to come through the relay with a address like this. So this one right here this recorder does have an inbound connection to it, and so this is actually showing up that way. So it can be done either way. By default, though, we do not require inbound ports, and by default, we're going to usually be doing something like this.
Okay, but there isn't a use of IGDP to go directly, without having to explicitly open inbound ports.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, that's answers my question. Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome.
Mason, this is Blake. Hey, are you finding that you're rolling out the command center to customers more so than the web interface? So they
definitely.
Okay, that's kind of what I was gathering.
Yeah, we only use the web interface if we have like a Linux box basically, and it's just to view like 6 or 9 cameras. We have a few in a couple restaurants where we got to basically put in $100 computer, and Linux is going to run on that just fine. So it's that Chromium kiosk mode, and it pulls it up. That's about the only time we use it. And then also if a customer has a Macintosh, then they'll use the web. But for everything else, we use Command Station because it's fully featured, and it's pretty bulletproof. That's what we've been using.
And then I think you showed me that with Command Station, that's the only way you can pull in multi-site into one pane of glass, so to speak. Is that correct, or can you do that with OWS?
As far as I'm aware, you can't do that on the online version. And Dave, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you could only do that. You could do it with like multiple tabs, but the only way you can pull in to have, let's say one monitor with 4 different sites on it and a 16 camera matrix would be in Command Station. Is that correct, Dave?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
All right. Currently, that is the case. Yes. So, my get around is to open in different tabs. But yes, if you're looking to bring in a front door from multiple different sites at opening time, then yes, that would be accomplished through the Command Station client.
And then, as for a mobile app, is there a mobile app?
Yes, OpenEye Mobile is available, and I'm sure I don't have a way to show that to you right now. But yes, we do have a mobile app. Again, we kept the interface very simple. It's very good for live viewing, quick searches, event searches, as well as push notifications for events that are triggered via analytics, intrusion, access, that type of thing. And again, very easy to deploy in that you only log in with your email address and password, and then you get the recorders with the functionality passed down to you that you should have.
And the one thing that you can do on there, if you have analytics, you can search analytics on the app itself, which is useful if you have any Hanwha cameras with analytics piping over to OpenEye. It's nice to just be able to click that on and see, do I have any faces? Do I have any line crossing? And we haven't really had any issues with the app. It always works. I know that was one of your concerns, Blake, was the mobile app working consistently. I would say every time that I've pulled it up, it works, and it's reliable.
Yeah, because I do a lot of commercial and residential, but a lot of commercial, and especially apartment complexes. So the big mission critical items are multi-site, the mobile app, and then it performing well through something like Command Station to tie everything together and have a single pane of glass. So this definitely meets the requirements.
And with the mobile app also, you're able to pull the different streams similar as to how we do here with the either the web browser or the Command Station interface. So by default, we're going to pull the low stream from the camera. So if you've got 6 cameras open at the same time, there's no reason to pull all 4K through to those pictures there. So we'll start out low, and then if you want to bump it up, you can do that if the bandwidth allows for it.
So Mason, I can see why you like this product so much, because I do a lot of exact vision, Honeywell, IC real time, and salient across the board between residential and commercial, and this blows it out of the water, in my opinion. So just to give a little review based on what I've seen and based on your review as well, Mason, this definitely is a game changer in my opinion if we were to deploy it to our customers.
Yeah, and we've worked on a few exact vision systems, and I don't have a lot of experience in that, but this is definitely easier. One of the things that I like about it is JBOD with your disks. You just continually add disks. I don't know really how that relates to other camera systems, but what's nice is if we put just a Windows server in, and they're like, oh, hey, we're only getting 20 days of retention. Okay, we'll throw another 10 terabyte in, and we'll see how that works, and that'll bump up your storage. So you don't have to, you can't obviously run RAID if you want to, but having, just being able to throw extra hard drives in when you need them has been useful for us, especially as we've had sites go from 12 cameras. We have one that started at 12 and now it's gone up to almost 40. And that's been really nice to just continually add those hard drives in the server. And the system is able to grow with the customer instead of having to replace or add more NVRs on top of NVRs. It's nice to just have one unit that you're just continually upgrading.
Cool. Do you know of any VMware or any pre-made virtual machines that are available for this? Is that an option?
I don't. There are no pre-made virtual machines for these. However, we do support virtualization, Hyper-V, VMware, and such. So that is available with our professional line, and we've had some pretty good luck with it.
Good. That's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does Marco? Marco's kind of quiet. Marco, you got any questions?
He's on mute. I know he's
on
there.
mute.
I was just texting him. I don't know what he's
Yeah.
doing.
I know I got a message from you that he had some questions lined up, so wanted to make sure he could get on it.
Well, yeah, John had to hop off, so he gives you and David his best and says thank you. And I guess Marco he passed out, so I think it's just you and me, Mason.
Oh, hey, there he is.
I'm here, Blake. For some reason, I lost Mason. I can't hear anything he was saying. So I'd like to kind of mull it over, and then David, I can reach out to you if I have any questions or go that route. Does that work for you?
Absolutely.
Cool.
So you guys should have my contact card, and I'm always available for you. Again, I cover the Midwest, Great Lakes. We also have other sales engineers around for other territories. I'd be happy to get you guys introduced with them, as well as the local business development managers. And if you wanted to get a relationship going with OpenEye, we can certainly get that ball rolling for you.
Yeah, and I was telling Mason that, I've sat through a lot of demos just like this, but this was a lot different because we have the Low Voltage Nation ambassadors, and we have real life success stories with Mason giving raving reviews constantly. So this is a little bit different. This is actually very beneficial because it will be published on YouTube on our podcast, and we have a lot of people in the Slack channel, as well as a really healthy and growing community with Low Voltage Nation. So I think this is actually very beneficial. In my opinion, it is, and it was very beneficial to me. So thank you for that.
Well, I can speak for OpenEye when I say that this is a very appreciated opportunity here. We think the world of Mason, and I'm glad to be on here and have the opportunity to do this with you guys today. So thank you again.
Cool.
And I did want to point out that one of the reasons why OpenEye has come so high recommended is because of their customer service and their support. There's other companies that we don't need to name that would not do this.
Yeah,
so, that I think that's, for me, I would say 70% is just the customer service that I can email a support rep, Davis, the guy that I've been using mostly, and he'll email me back in 2 hours with a huge email of all the issues that he's found, anything that he's fixed, anything that he saw, and if they need to roll a patch out, he'll roll a patch out. That's been huge for me. It allows me to not have to worry about it. I know all my systems are going to work, and if an issue comes up, it's going to get resolved promptly. So
Mason, hey, thank you for getting this organized. I really appreciate it. And Dave,
well, thank you, Blake.
Yeah, thanks for taking some time on your Friday night to come hang out and talk about OpenEye. So if there's no more questions, if everybody's good, I'm going to wrap it up and say goodbye.
Alrighty.
Yep.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you guys again. Take care.
Bye-bye.